Hello and thank you for watching my video. This is a video that's going to be looking at the thief as a profession. Now the thief is one of those professions that is very different to many other different classes in how it operates. Now the thief has its origins back in Guild Wars 1 when it actually was taken, the actual profession was called the assassin. And they remodeled it and sort of obviously renamed it. And they've changed it slightly, some of the skills that you actually do. Compared to that with Guild Wars 1, it's a very different profession than back then. But the thief in Guild Wars 2 is very unique mechanically compared to a lot of the other professions. Just to look at our weapons that we have here, and one of the unique things is that you do get different skills that for your thirds, for your skill 3, dependent on what you actually have in your offhand. So you can see here in the skill set, depending on what you actually have in your offhand, depends on what your third skill is. That's quite interesting, a different sort of aspect on that. And that obviously can affect, the different types of builds you run. Another aspect is the fact you have initiative. Now each skill, as you can see in the sort of where we have the name of the skill, body shot, to the right hand side you'll see a ½ second for the casting time and 4 being the actual initiative used. The same goes for the Shadow Strike, Dancing Dagger is 3 and Cloak and Dagger 6. So what happens, we have initiative here. I've actually traded, so I've got a little bit more initiative than usual. If we click Cloak and Dagger, it actually uses 6 initiative. And you get this ticking every second or so. It regenerates initiative, and there are skills that allow you to regenerate an extra initiative every 10 seconds and other traits as well. So that's one aspect that's pretty different to many of the other skills, many of the other professions, that you actually have to be wary that you can't use all your skills all the time. I mean, if you click, so we click here, look, I can't actually use these skills now because I'm out of initiative. So that's something that's also a little bit interesting. We also have Steal. Now Steal is a skill that will teleport you towards your target, and you will get a new skill that will appear in your F1 tab. Now that varies dependent upon the profession. In PvP, if you steal from a warrior, from a necro for example, you'll get the ability to fear people. Only one time only skill. If you steal from, for example, a ranger, you'll get this sort of healing tree that you can spawn and creates regeneration. So it depends on who you steal from. When you're in the PvE world, then you actually it's a bit of a random steal as to what you actually get from your opponent, particularly if you're stealing from bosses. You really don't have a clue what you're going to be stealing from them. But let's talk about the thief as a playable profession. What makes it so different compared to compared to the warrior, compared to the guardian? And it's this ability to stealth. Now we click here, we've got a healing skill that stealths us. None of our opponents can see us. It's the same if we use Shadow Refuge, or if we have certain skills here, we can create a field here. So the way it actually works, we click Black Powder and then we do a leap finisher and we've stealthed. So combo fields are very effective as a thief. Again, Cloak and Dagger, if you hit your opponent, you'll stealth as well. And this is one of the main aspects for the thief, that you actually you're able to attack stealth, and then sort of, you can move away, move around the opponent and come at them again. And thieves are generally that sort of, Cloak and Dagger, the sort of, hit and run type, type of profession that you actually get. And, in PvP, thieves can be pretty deadly. They're very good at sort of one strike, single strikes. If we look at the traits that we actually get, so we get power and condition duration, we have precision and ferocity, and the Shadow Arts Trickery as well. That's to do with the steel recharge rate, so you can actually recharge pretty quickly. I actually go for a bit of a condition damage build for my thief. There are other aspects that you can go for, but if we look here, we've got a sword here. If we put that on our main hand, one of the main aspects for the sword is that you can actually you go to this shadow step is one of the main aspects as well. You go towards your target and then you can shadow step back again. It's really the ability to sort of jump around all over the place is one of the aspects of the Thief, particularly in PvP, that makes it one of the more viable builds to run in PvP. But also it has these abilities to do venoms, which are unique to the Thief profession. You can inflict Spider Venom, Ice Drake Venom, Devourer Venom, and also Scale Venom. Because I'm a Sylvari, obviously I've got a few Sylvari traits in there. Dagger Storm's quite an interesting spinning skill because you can you reflect projectiles and you can actually move around as you're doing this. Kind of similar to the Warriors dual skill. I think they have it's either dual axe or dual sword where you can spin around. But yeah, particularly in PvE, Thieves tend to be very, very important and used, particularly when running dungeons, for stealth and stealthing your party. And the way I'm going to show you how to do that is by obviously you use Shadow Refuse if you want. That's obviously a big stealth skill, and so your whole party can then run through past a lot of heavy, damaging mobs without actually having to engage them and spend time doing them. Very, very useful, particularly in Caudicus's Manor. And so Thieves are always very welcome there. In fact, they can almost solo that dungeon. If we also have a look here, we have the ability to create a smoke screen. What we'll do, we'll fire the black powder and then we'll fire the blast finisher, and that creates a stealth skill. You can also do the same with smoke screen here. If you create a smoke screen, you can then do these skills here. It's creating area stealth. So these types of combos are very, very useful for Thieves. And they allow, the ability to stealth and fly around the map and, keep your opponent confused. I know in PvP there are some Thieves that are very, very good and they are able to fly around me and I have no idea where they're going, constantly stealthing and, no clue what's going on. And so they'll stealth and then they'll come back and hit me from stealth. And because they're traded that they can hit harder when you're coming out of stealth, you can really get significant damage done on you. You've got a few different other mechanics. Thieves Guilds call in support. A few of the different skills have that mechanic. But generally, the Thief is a tricky class to master. I have to say it's one of the hardest I've found in PvP. It's very, very difficult to actually learn how to play it properly, and I have full respect for those Thieves that are very, very good at in PvP, because they've taken a long time to actually master that ability. I used to run my Thief quite a lot in World vs World before they made the bonuses account bound, and so I had everything on my Thief here, and I would be able to stealth and run around the map and create combo fields and be able to stealth people, and it was cool going around World vs World as a Thief. It's that sort of mechanic is quite interesting, and again in dungeons, you're always a pretty useful party member. However, the only downside is Thieves do tend to be pretty squishy. Rangers can particularly take them out quite quickly, especially if you're a power ranger in PvP. But generally, Thieves are a viable build to run in PvE, in PvP, and also in World vs World. But as I said, mastering this stealth mechanic, it can be tricky. It does require a little bit of work, a little bit of practice, and I'll admit firstly that when it comes to PvP, I'm definitely nowhere near as good as I could be. And that's primarily the only reason that I managed to get 200 ranked wins was because I was part of a group that would constantly PvP, and I ran my Thief, and we had a very good sort of tactic where I would run as a Thief, hit their far sort of point, and able to sort of distract them for a while, allowing my other teammates to capture the other 2 points. Okay, so let's look at the Thief's traits here. Now, one of the interesting aspects for me with the Thief is there are 2 ways you can go down. Now, this is my PvE actual build. I would admit it's not perfect, I am very much of a condition damage build. So, just to go into the equipment I actually have, if you look at, I have all condition damage, precision toughness condition damage, superior rune of the aristocracy to give me more condition damage, and a bit of might as well. And that's why, because it works a little bit if you switch to dagger, for a bit of critical damage. We do have all of the condition damage. That's how I'm set up. However, I also have power, precision, and ferocity. Obviously, which is the Zerker type build. This I actually have just purely simply because I like the Order of Whispers armor. But this is my Berserker, and I actually got this a while ago. So this is proper, actually getting full Berserker gear. If I do equip that, then I'll go, with my dagger build, and it be very much sort of aggressive, and be able to really cleave down at enemies. But as I said, I just enjoy going with the actual condition damage build, and that's just how I found Thief. It's just the gameplay I go into. So here we have condition duration. The condition damage is in the trickery section. So we have stealing inflicts poison. As you can see here, we actually have stealing gets initiative and confusion as well. Increased poison duration, because if we equip the short bow, then well, move that over there. Obviously you can see here poison is 9.5 seconds. It does weakness as well, which is another trait. Weaken them when you get poisoned. So it's adding that, if sort of ability to restrict damage that an opponent can do, and also their healing if they do. Venom's grant might when activated. I'm not actually running them at the moment, but you can, if you're running daggers, then you can do damage. Dual skills, so obviously if you're doing 2 daggers, then it's definitely worth having that. Venoms, I probably would, because I've been playing around with the skills here, I'm not fully equipped and fully traded for this build. But yeah, I mean, you can do deal damage and gain life when stealing. That's another thing you could bring in. Because I don't actually have any mites, I'll put Mug on instead, and that'll be really, you can see here now, stealing, you heal, you damage, you poison, you confuse them, and you gain initiative. It's a really big thing on stealing. Deal more damage if your target has a condition. So there again, all these conditions, you're doing a flat 10% increase in damage. And we have so obviously you gain extra power while you're revealed, which means you can't stealth. So when you come out of stealth, you gain an extra 200 power. So for those builds that do rely on stealthing, coming out of stealth, you are going to really able to hit for a lot of damage. Panic strike, that's a way to really immobilize your foe. Really good if opponent's running away in PvP, for example, or world versus world. You can really stop them from running away, and you can really cleave them down. So that's a little bit, I haven't fully worked out which one, the build I'm running is a bit different at the moment. We go to critical strikes. Let's have a look what we got here. So the first strike we get, critical hit chances increased while your health is above 90%. Very similar to the Elementalist in that it's they have a trait very similar to that. For the sort of basic depth traits, we have Furious Retaliation. So gain Fury when your target falls below the health threshold. So this is all about when the opponent goes down below a certain threshold, you can really do a lot more damage. You gain Might when activating a Signet. These are the Signets, gain increased power. Deal 15% more damage on your next 5 attacks. Again, really significant. If you then get Might as well, that is really going to work together well, the Assassin Signet and the Signets of Power. You've got I tend to use this when I'm running around the world. Grants 25% increase in movement speed. We also have increased precision, and also the ability to regain initiative. Okay, so we talked about the Signets. We've got the Side Strike, which is obviously very good when you're hitting from behind. I know from experience that, particularly in PvP, if I've been hit from behind, you're getting owned, especially if they're coming out of stealth. But that we'll talk about a little bit later. Create a smoke screen when downed. Obviously that hides you, so that's pretty good. Pistol mastery, for those of you using the dual pistols, it's actually a very good damage increase indeed. Particularly you get a few builds, occasionally you'll see them, the dual pistol build, not fantastically effective, but if they're used in the right hands, they can be pretty deadly indeed. Gain vitality based on your precision, so that's pretty straightforward. And this is where the pistol build comes into its own. You have critical hits with pistols have a chance to cripple foes. So not only do you cripple them, but you also really unload a heavy amount of pistol projectiles. Gain initiative when using a signet, and also reduces the recharge on the signet, so that can be pretty effective indeed, particularly considering most of these are 30 seconds in length, and reducing the activate, the recharge by 20%, you're going to be saving a fair few seconds. So if you actually, look at the active, shadow step to your foe, you've got blinding foes near your target, refill endurance and cure a condition, so that's pretty handy, and also deal 50% more damage on your next 5 attacks. So using that in combination with several other sort of critical attack boosts can be particularly effective at really causing some significant damage. We also have dual skills having increased critical hit chance. That will be skill 3. You'll notice they're dual wield. If we look at the slots, the weapon skill, particularly for, you've got, it depends what offhand you have, depends what your dual weapon is. So you notice here, if you look, the dagger has several different skill 3s. They are all dual skills, and the same with the pistol. And so by going into that trait, you actually can increase your critical chance by 5%. And if you actually hit a critical, you actually gain quickness, which is a really, really impressive, nice little bonus you get there. And that can really, especially if you're using, for example, dagger, or even the dual wielding pistols, unloading on your enemy really, really can give you a huge speed boost and make you unload a huge amount of DPS in a short period of time. We have Executioner, deal extra damage when your target's below the threshold. This is a huge amount of damage. 20% increase with a foe's less than 50%. And that's well worth taking that, especially if you're going with the dagger build. Again, bonus critical hit chance while in stealth. So that's 100%, which means next time you hit someone from stealth, you're going to crit. So think of all those traits or skills or runes that will proc on a critical hit. This will guarantee you that to activate. So that's a very, very crucial trait there that can be used in many builds. And you get healed for a percentage of outgoing critical hit damage. So if you want to use critical hit to heal yourself, and this is the ideal one to take for that build. You can see here, this is the one I'm fully traded in for. This is the Shadow Arts. So you reduce your recharge and deception skills. That would be things like Shadow Refuge or Smoke Screen. So that's pretty good, particularly for dungeon running. Slow Pulse, gain regeneration, not really too much of a trait, that one. It's not really worthwhile. And again, Shadow Protector, not really worthwhile. I have Shadow's Embrace, so when I'm in stealth, I actually remove conditions, pretty handy. And I gain initiative when I enter stealth, so that's regaining this initiative, which for mine is really, really crucial because I'm using skill 6 a lot. Cloaked in Shadow, gaining stealth, blinds nearby foes, that's also a handy one to take with you. But I don't have any of these on my PvP side, but I might take short bow damage increase. It's only 5% though, so it's a bit of a wasted trait really. Stealing grants you stealth, that's a handy one to have if you're not going with this build. Leeching venoms, so siphon life when you activate a venom, that's quite handy. Another way to sort of add conditions and add sort of, a degeneration on a foe. Patience, I don't think really that's worthwhile initiative in stealth because it procs only every 10 seconds. Regenerate health while in stealth, that's obviously pretty handy indeed. If you're running away and you're low on health, stealthing and you can regenerate your health every second. Venomous Aura, you'll see this a lot in PvP. This is used by venom sharers that at the beginning of a sort of a PvP match will share a load of different venoms with your party, and it's really, really good in that initial stage. However, when you do get out on your own, it can be less effective. So there are drawbacks to taking Venomous Aura. And stealth effects that you apply reduce incoming attack damage. This is a handy little trait to take with you. When I stealth, it means all damage is reduced by 50%. So obviously there are, in World vs World or PvP, people are going around swinging and trying to hit you because they can't see you because you're in stealth. If for somehow they do manage to attack you, this will reduce that damage by 50%. So a nice trait to take with you. We have the acrobatics trait line. Sorry, I didn't actually mention any of the minor sort of traits as we're going along. I mentioned it in the first line. In the second line, critical hit chances increase while your health is above the threshold. Critical hits have a bonus chance to restore initiative, so that's pretty handy. And damage is increased while your current initiative is over the threshold. So as long as it's over 6 initiative there, you're getting an extra 10%. So the critical strikes really does give you a lot of critical damage. For the Shadow Arts, we get Last Refuge. I actually have this. So use Blinding Powder when your health reaches a certain threshold. That stealths you. Stealth skills last longer. And you gain Might when you stealth. So you can see here, when I stealth here, I'll get regeneration and I actually get Might. So because I've got regenerate health while I'm in stealth. So here we have gain swiftness upon dodging. That's pretty handy. You know, if you want to run evade. You've got Descent of Shadows, so that's only for falling damage, not necessary. Gain Might when you dodge. That would really, if you dodging around, you'll get Might and Swiftness. That'll be a really good combo. Gain Vigor when you're using a healing skill, which could actually benefit you, because if you get Vigor, then obviously it allows you to regain your endurance more, and so you can dodge around more. Gain Swiftness when you kill a foe. Really unnecessary. We don't really use that many traps at all in this. I mean, there are traps here, Tripwire, Needle Trap, and Shadow Trap. They're very rarely used at all in any format. Move faster while in stealth. You got which, okay, I don't really see the point of that. Dodging removes conditions. There's only 2 conditions it removes. I don't think it's that effective. Gain regeneration while and remove conditions when struck below the threshold. So that's actually quite handy, removing conditions, those bleeding, burning, and poison. Gain bonus initiative over time. I take this in PvE a lot more because I'm getting that extra regeneration. However, you also have a trait that does the Infiltrator Signet, which also does the same thing. Hard to catch, Shadow Step away. This is a very, very handy one, again, for that evasion. Shadow Step away and gain swiftness when you're disabled. So this really allows you to avoid contact and combat, and really confuses, particularly PvP or world versus world. You'll be hard to catch and, as the trait says, and really tricky to pin down. Assassin's Reward, heal yourself when you use a skill that uses initiative. So this is a nice handy one to do. So every time you're using a weapon skill, you're healing yourself. You gain initiative on swapping weapons in combat. It can be handy. And gain stability when striking an enemy from stealth. I don't believe that's too effective unless you're fighting some of the bosses or some of the, particularly like a turret engineering in PvP. That would be pretty handy indeed. So then we move on to Trickery. This is where you get the condition damage. And, oh sorry, I didn't cover these minor traits. We have dodging return some of the endurance gain. So again, this is all about the dodging and evading attacks. And damage is increased while endurance is not full. So pretty important to remember there. I'll go over the minor traits for the Trickery. Stealing gives you initiative. Increases maximum initiative by 3. This is what I really do love about this trait line. And also increases damage per initiative. So here we have one. So all that initiative, that gives me an extra 12. I think that's 12. 5. I can't really see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I don't know why I thought 12. Anyway, so 12 was the base one. And also stealing applies confusion. So as a condition one, and stealing grants you and all nearby allies vigor. You rip boons from your target and grant them to nearby allies. So these are all to do with stealing, and this is why I have so much on my stealing sort of F1 skill. So here we have Merciful Ambush. Stealth yourself when reviving an ally. That can be handy for PvP, all versus world versus world. If you take damage greater than the health of a single strike, health threshold in a single strike, you release feathers to blind nearby enemies and gain stealth. Don't really, that can be handy, but the recharge is every 60 seconds, so it's a bit wasted there. I actually enjoy having caltrops because I like the fact that I dodge and people have to avoid my little dodge. I notice it in PvP when I do dodge. I leave that little sort of ring and people try and avoid it, so it does mean that it forces the opponent to avoid them. Flanking strikes, as we look here, increases damage when attacking foe from behind or the side, and this can be really quite handy, for if you're attacking from behind as well. Thrill of the Crime, when you steal, you and all nearby allies gain fury, might, and swiftness. I have used that instead of uncatchable. It's a bit, you can swap them over. There's a few different things you can go for. Long reach, didn't really see that's necessary. Bountiful Theft, so we said it's gone through that one already. Trickster, we don't really use tricks in this at all. Nope. Initial strike, attacks with that first weapon skill slot have a chance to regain initiative. So that's this for, which is obviously used quite a lot. So that could actually be quite a handy thing to take. Ricochet again for the pistol builds is quite handy to take. And you receive initiative when using a heal skill. Probably with this one here where you actually 15-second cooldown, that would be a lot more effective than taking some of the other ones. You will notice there's this withdraw. This is actually quite a useful, handy sort of escape heal. However, I prefer the one where I can stealth. That's why I take that healing skill. And stealing also dazes the target, another one, but it doesn't really affect bosses too much. So that's why I tend to go with bewildering ambush. And for those of you who are wondering about stealing does give you different sort of boons. What I'll do here, we have the chieftain up over here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you a quick picture now of the stealing on the wiki page. And what this means is that for when you steal from a particular character, it actually depending on, you know, for example, if you're in world versus world or PvP, it depends. The profession that you steal from actually depends on what you actually get as a reward. So, for example, if you steal from a mesmer, you will get consumed plasma. If you steal from a ranger, you'll get healing seed. From an elementalist, you'll get ice shard stab. From a necro, you'll get skull fear. From an engineer, you'll get throw gunk. And from whirling X, you'll get a warrior. So it'd be interesting to see what you'll get from stealing from a revenant. That's obviously, I haven't seen that yet. But yeah, again, if you steal from a thief, you'll get blinding tuft. But these stealing skills you can use and can be pretty handy. When you're out fighting the bosses, they can vary. So if you were to steal from one boss, you might get the different results 2 times in a row. So what we're going to do here, we are going to stealth, and I'm going to attack the chieftain, and I want to show you a couple of different ways in which we can attack the chieftain and kill him without using stealing and some of the effects that it can cause. Okay, so you can see here I'm actually putting 2 venoms on mine, the scale venom and just the torment venom, and the idea is to press skill 5 and F1 quick succession, because what that means is that I will stealth on the actual steal skill. And you can see here I got the sort of feathers, so I'm actually stealthing again once I'm out of the recharge of stealth, and the revealed, so I can't stealth. You notice that when you do stealth, you can't actually stealth immediately again. Also pay attention to skill 1 actually changes when you are in stealth, and that's what's pretty handy about this condition build. You see there that when I do stealth, the skill 1 changes. I also just stole from Svanir and I got a different F1 skill in return. I'm going to just do it without the scale venoms this time, without pressing skill 5. This is what's quite cool, because you hit skill 5 when you're quite at range, but by the time it takes you to swing and you quickly press F1, you swing and you hit your target with that skill 5, and then you stealth immediately. So here we go, I've just pressed F1 and we get that gunk thing, and I'm getting pulled all over the place. But I wanted to show you this is what stealing is all about, and then I can stealth away. So I'm hoping this guide has been pretty handy for you guys. This has been the thief. Feel free to leave any comments, feel free to leave any feedback. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video.